Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the program. Charles Moskowitz. I'm doing a little live streaming, and I am here to take your calls. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the news, so there's a lot we can discuss. For TikTok, I just will mention that I'm allowed on for just 3 minutes. So if you want to join the program, go to charlesmoskowitz.com. You could go to the Rumble station, rumble@moskowitz.com, or at YouTube, where I am also live. The YouTube station, I will tell you, I'm monitoring carefully because of censorship. I want to be careful that I don't, nobody says anything that might, be subject to my being purged or banned from YouTube. And in that vein, I actually have here a little button that I can click to temporarily take me off of YouTube if something looks like it's going to run awry. And at the same time, I can then go back on. So, I'm using the technology here to do this wonderful thing, and I'm enjoying it. And you're welcome to join me. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the news. I have some thoughts I want to share about Ukraine. Let me just see, am I going live yet? Oh, there it is. Okay, we're now live on Rumble, and you can comment and send in texts, as it were, at Rumble and at YouTube, but you can also call in. This is a live program, and we are taking literal calls, and you will be heard. 617-396-4958 is the number. 617-396-4958. This is Charles Moskowitz, and normally I do the program Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. to midnight. On Friday nights, I've been just running a pre-recorded program, mainly because of Shabbos, and I shouldn't be live streaming. But for the most part, this is live, and it's a live and interactive experience. And my goal here is to, share ideas and have commentary and offer a venue where people can come right off the street. Thank you. I'm already getting notes on TikTok. Your wisdom is much appreciated. Thank you very much. If you want to call in and comment, you can do so. I'm live on YouTube, Rumble, and about 5 other venues, Facebook, Twitch, all these other amazing venues. And you can actually call the program, 617-396-4958, 617-396-4958. Obviously, there's a lot of evil in the world right now with war. The sovereign nation of Ukraine is under a full frontal assault by a Russian enemy that has a 1,000-mile border with it. We all expected that Putin would maybe scarf down a few provinces on the border, which are Russian speaking, but I don't think anyone expected a full-scale invasion. And, we can pray for the people there. Right now, I will say that, in my opinion, it's not going to work for Putin. It's not going to work for Russia, because the Ukrainian people have a very strong nationalism. They're not going to sit down and take it. What is Russia going to do? Occupy a country that doesn't want them there? I just don't see that as something that's going to happen. But I just want to comment on comments. I basically, a conversation I had earlier today with a very liberal friend, and who said to me, and it was expressing genuine distress that we all share, but was saying, hey, I can't believe that this is happening in the world right now. I thought that the world was beyond this, that we wouldn't have, these kinds of acts of aggression and these kinds of wars. And, I would note that this person is very liberal in their political orientation. And I was thinking, this is a classic liberal delusion that somehow, we're moving into some kind of a, utopian time when everybody just loves everyone and gets along, and that everything in the universe is going to be good, and that good is going to prevail. We obviously all want that for ourselves and our communities and our families and our nations and the world. But that's not how the world works. There is evil in the world. There are people who want to, and nations and groups that are always going to want to take advantage of weakness, and they're going to want to exploit ignorance and lack of vigilance. I'm not blaming anyone for this. I'm simply noting that it's an element of reality, and that as such, we're never in this world going to get rid of war any more than we're going to get rid of burglaries. We're going to get rid of rape. We're going to get rid of violence. We're going to get rid of fraud. They're going to get rid of anything that involves human agency that can be both good and evil. And that the best obvious way to reduce things like war, while we recognize we're never going to get rid of it, and to reduce things like theft and violence and all of the violations of our freedom and of our individual ability to function, is to take reasonable precautions, is to set ourselves up so that we can reduce our exposure to these things. I mean, I'll give an obvious example. The front door to my home right now is locked, right? I have a car in the driveway. The door is locked. I'm willing to venture and assume that everyone watching and listening to this program right now can say the same, right? Think about it. You locked your door, you locked your car. It's not because you know that it's going to get ripped off, but it's because you want to reduce the possibility that someone is going to rip off your car or break into your home and rob you. We all take reasonable precautions because we understand that human nature is such that there's always going to be a criminal element that seeks to take advantage and to take something that is not theirs. And that can mean open and outright violence, like as in breaking into a home or stealing a car or invading a country, or it could be through fraud, through subterfuge, by fooling us and engaging in a scheme that makes us give up something by using lies, by using manipulation, and by using psychological methodology to make us think that something is happening when it isn't, or make us perceive things in a certain way that would not necessarily advantage us and that would advantage them. This is why we have free speech in this country, because we don't want to have our means of communication manipulated by people who may not wish us well. Well, maybe they do wish us well. It doesn't matter. The point is that we want to operate in a position of strength, and in a free world, and is based on human nature. The best way to go about that is to operate from a ability to get to truth. So we expect to have free access to media. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to understand the world. I'm trying to hear from people. And yet, I know there's censorship, especially on YouTube, but that's my intent. That's my goal. That's why I do this thing. And that's why we all do what we do. We all try to mitigate our lives based upon what we perceive as true. Okay, it looks like I'm now.
What we do.
Whoops,
We all
let
try
me just
to mitigate
lower the volume here.
our lives.
Yeah, we're now live on YouTube, and you're welcome to comment on YouTube. Just go to my station on YouTube, Charles Moskowitz, or you can go to my station on Rumble, Charles Moskowitz, and you can comment on TikTok. I'm seeing I'm getting a lot of people on TikTok. And also you can call. I mean, I can literally take a call. 617-396-4958 is the number. 617-396-4958. And looks like we've got somebody wants to come into my chat. You're welcome to do that on TikTok, I suppose. Well, I'll let people request that. I don't quite know how that works, but it's all very interesting. So the latest news coming out of Ukraine is that the Ukrainian people aren't just rolling over. God willing, they'll be safe. These are very dangerous times, and we ought to support them in full. I mean, I think without necessarily going to war. I don't think we need to commit American troops, frankly. But I do think that we need to send them everything and anything short of that to help them defend their country, because they are defending sovereignty, and sovereignty is a progressive idea. It is a principle that is worth saving and fighting for. Okay, looks like we're getting. Hi, how are you? Yeah, what's going on? Okay. Looks like I'm getting another request from somebody on TikTok. Well, whatever. Okay. And you're welcome to join the program again. Let's just see here. The number is 617-396-4958. 617-396-4958. Looks like I kind of went non-live on TikTok because I don't know how to run TikTok. So I'm going to try to go back live on TikTok. And, by all means, you can either call in or you can stream in. Whatever you feel like doing is great. Let me just click live here. And we are back live. Whoops, see Daisy, there we go. Okay, back live on TikTok. Thank you, TikTok. Sorry about the interruption. Apparently, President Trump has delivered a speech at Cpac. I haven't seen it yet. I just got on the air, but I saw a quick synopsis of it on the Gateway Pundit. And they say in flat and no uncertain terms that President Trump has said in his speech that he's running, that he said he will win an election, quote, for the third time, unquote, during his Cpac speech. So my question to you listeners and you chatters and you callers is, do you think that President Donald J. Trump should run for, as he calls it, a third term? And if he does run, do you think he'll win? I will await your response on that one. Let's see. Absolutely. Yes, I agree. Look, I mean, to me, it's extraordinary that he actually wants to run again after what he's been through. I mean, I think that this is a great blessing for this country. The fact that this man, this extraordinary man, would step up and serve again after the crap that he went through for 4 years. The outright assault on him by what he accurately called the deep state. The constant lies day after day. I mean, even now they're lying. Oh, he supports Putin. That's a freaking lie, right? And not to mention the 2 impeachments, the conspiracy to say that he was spying for Russia, which apparently they haven't stopped. The false flag of January 6th at the Capitol, the election, which I don't want to use the word stolen because I'll get banned on YouTube, but let's just say that it's there were questions. All right. In spite of all this, and in spite of the personal assault on him and his family that is continuing, they're now looking at every real estate deal he made. I mean, it'll never stop. In spite of all that, he's willing to step forward and serve his country again. And I think that as far as I can tell you, and I don't know Trump at all. I interviewed him once years ago before he was running. I think that Trump is a man who has had an incredible life. He's had an incredible success. He is wealthy beyond belief. He's famous. He's got he's had an amazing family. He's got an amazing wife. He's got amazing children and grandchildren. He could go on and live a very comfortable life and enjoy all of the pleasures of his success both materially and spiritually. He certainly could continue with influence, continue to do radio and TV, continue to do all the things that he always has done. But he has chosen, and he did choose in 2016, to enter public life and to serve his country as president of the United States, because I think that he's reaching a point in his life where most people are thinking of retirement, and yet he's got this extraordinary energy. And he feels that this country has been good to him. This country has offered him a platform where he could be free and successful, and that he wants to give something back. He wants to do service to the country as his final act. I mean, it's a natural thing to want to do for anyone, right? I mean, I'm at that age where I think about that. What is my legacy? What are people going to remember me for, even in my own family, right? I mean, I've had health things happen. I mean, you wonder, you think about this. And I think that the answer for Trump has been, I'm going to go out with a blaze. I'm going to go out and serve my country, and I'm going to do it, selflessly. I mean, Trump isn't going to gain anything by running for president or being president. He's not going to get rich from it. He's already rich or famous. In fact, Trump lost money as president of the United States. His daughter, Ivanka, had to close her business because of all the crap that was thrown at her and at them, and the hate and the boycotts, right? I mean, he lost fame in a way. People no longer wanted to speak to him that were his friends and still are, but they couldn't be associated with him publicly because of the smear and the campaign of hate and propaganda and lies that were launched against him. I mean, the idiocy of it, if you think about it. But yet he stepped forward. He basically had a vision for this country that he has held for 30 years. He's not just someone who changes his stripes like a lot of politicians just to get elected. I don't think Trump's ever done that. I mean, a recent example, you see Beto O'Rourke in Texas. Oh, all of a sudden now he's in favor of gun ownership. The Second Amendment, really? I mean, he was a champion of gun confiscation. Now, all of a sudden, he's running for governor, and he realizes that 90% of Texans, including most liberals and Democrats, support the Second Amendment. So all of a sudden, no, he's changing because he wants to get elected. Bill Clinton was always like that. Most of these people are like that. Obama was like that. I remember interviewing Ari Berman. He's a reporter for Nation magazine, who attended a private meeting at the White House for media right after Obama had delivered his State of the Union speech, and he spoke eloquently about balancing the budget and reducing taxes. And, I mean, Axelrod, his chief of staff who held the meeting for the media, said, oh, those things, that was just a lot of talk. That's not true. Don't worry. We're going to raise taxes. Don't fuss. We're going to, blow up the budget just like what we're going to do. We just have to say that for public consumption. And remember, Ari Berman was bragging about this. They'd say, you're bragging about the fact the president of the United States is lying? The point is, Trump didn't do that. Trump didn't speak in these sort of phony, sophistic, double-speak terms, these vagaries that people are sick of. Trump spoke honestly. He spoke simply. He spoke truthfully. And he sometimes spoke rather bluntly and crudely, but it was who he was. And I think people not only resonate with that, but I think we need that in this country. And he has changed the way we communicate ever since, because people no longer buy this kind of bull crap that we hear, this sort of like what French scholar Elaine Benescon called the language of totalitarianism. The language where everything, you come away from it and you're like, oh, boy, they sound smart. They sound great. But yet they said nothing, right? They said, or the communistic dialectic. I remember reading Benjamin Gitlow's biography. He was one of the founders of the American Communist Party. And he spoke about Robert Minor, who was the head of the American Communist Party back in the 1920s. And he said that Robert Minor's greatest skill as a communist, and it was a classic skill that communists learned, was that he could say two opposite ideas in the same sentence at the same time. And he could do it so flawlessly that nobody even knew that this had happened. In other words, you could be an accomplished liar. I think that that has been the style of communication in this country, really going back probably to, I mean, I'm writing this in my book right now, which I'm calling the Biden Coup. Going back to the election of Woodrow Wilson, he was the first sort of intellectual professor to be elected, and he changed the way we communicate with each other and the way our politicians communicate with us. Everything suddenly was these lofty aphorisms and doublespeak and lies, basically. And that people sort of came to expect that because they look up and they go, oh, this person is so smart. They're so much smarter than I am. And yet you'd walk away not confused, but kind of numbed. You didn't know quite what was said. You know, there was something said that was good, but you didn't go quite what, right? Trump threw out all that out. He did it because he was a businessman who knew how to speak plainly in order to make a deal. And he conducted his office that way. And that is why his presidency and his administration was the most successful since at least Franklin Roosevelt, probably Lincoln. Okay, when are we looking at decertifying? Somebody's asking me. All right, well, I can't get into that right now because I'm running live on YouTube, and that subject is forbidden on YouTube. So all I can tell you is if you're interested in developments regarding questions about the 2020 election, go to sources like the Gateway Pundit, go to the War Room Pandemic, hosted by Stephen K. Bannon, excellent program. Jack Posobiec, his Human Events, and a couple of other sources, and do your own research, okay? I can't talk about that right now. If someone wants to talk about that and they want to call in, I'll shut down YouTube and I'll take the call, but I'm going to continue here generally with YouTube on board, hopefully, and not say anything that is now forbidden by the fascists who run YouTube, all right? Should I say more? No. All right, or I'm going to start to get steamed up. All right, you can call in 617-396-4958. Looks like I'm running a live stream on TikTok. I guess they're allowing me to do that now. So that's good. They haven't shut me down yet. I haven't said anything yet, but I think they would. Of course, you never know. 617-396-4958. I've got my good friend at Facts Matter. He's been harassing me at TikTok. So how about the GOP caught forging electoral documents? You know, I don't know about that, but what I'll say is this, Facts Matter. If that's true, it kind of makes my case and the case of a majority of Republicans that things happened during that election, doesn't it? I'm not saying Republicans aren't above doing things like this, but I don't, and again, I don't want to get into this topic right now because I'm live on YouTube. It's such a shame you can't just say things freely. Yeah, it is a shame. It is sad. But that's the world we're in right now. And, you know, I feel confident because YouTube and Facebook and all these other streamers are being challenged by Rumble and Getter and Gab and all of these other sites that are going gangbusters. People like Joe Rogan at Spotify, you know, Alex Jones, he set up his own network. He doesn't care. Other people are doing this, you know, who have been banned and who have been purged. There's all these alternatives. I mean, I'm on Odyssey. I'm on all of them now. I collect these sites like people used to collect stamps and coins. If you want to see all the sites I'm on, go to my website, charlesmoskowitz.com, and you're going to see a list of 10 live streams that I'm on, and I'm on right now, including YouTube. And you're going to see about 30 or 40 podcast sites, including some pretty big ones like iTunes and iHeartRadio and Spotify and Stitcher, that carry my audio. They carry the program. And so I feel like if I'm going to be centered on one, I'll pop up on the other. Right now, I've decided to do this live stream without this, and I'm including the big censors like YouTube. So I'm not going to discuss certain things, but if I get a call or if somebody wants to chat about something that is forbidden on YouTube, I can shut YouTube down. Let me just see. I'd like to see Ron DeSantis run if Trump does not. That's a comment on YouTube. Yeah, I think Ron DeSantis is a good guy. I don't know if he quite has what it takes, what Trump has, but he's good. I like DeSantis. I'd like to see DeSantis run. I think that a Trump DeSantis ticket would be a powerful one. He says, that's very convenient, not knowing GOP were caught trying to overturn the election. Yeah, I don't know if anyone has said that. There might have been a little bit of cheating here and there, but no. Sorry, pal. I don't think so. All right. Skype 617-396-4958. 617-396-4958 is the number. Hi, how are you? Would you like to comment on what you're hearing, or how are you? I'm getting a lot of feedback. Nope. Okay. All right. Bye. Bye-bye. Okay. Thank you. All right. 617-39, don't be shy. 617, come on down. 396-4958. What is on your mind? We're talking about President Trump's speech at Cpac. He apparently has said, and I quote, that he would win the election for the third time, unquote. This sounds to me like he's running. And I say, God bless him. I mean, this is an incredible thing. This man to stand up again and run again and put himself out there like this, that is incredible. All right, we've got President Trump at Cpac. Listen, facts matter. If you'd like to talk about this, call me. Come on the air with me and I'll discuss it with you. 617-396-4958. 617-396-4958. I think that also, as I go live more with these live streams, I'm going to probably send out my Zoom link. I'm going to be careful with that one because I've had some bad experiences with that, but I might selectively send it out so that people can join me on Zoom and be seen and heard, not just heard. But again, if you want to call in, 617-396-4958, 617-396-4958. You're welcome to chat on YouTube if you happen to be watching live, or you can chat on Rumble. Please subscribe to my Rumble station. Rumble is kind of the flagship of the whole network, frankly, but you can also subscribe on YouTube and on TikTok. I will say about YouTube that I've been told continuously this past year that people have subscribed to my YouTube channel and then suddenly the subscription is dropped by who knows who. The same guy that pardoned Bannon. Bannon didn't rip off anybody. That's a lie. I mean, Bannon has been prosecuted. He's a tough guy. Check out, something, open your mind a little bit, Facts Matter, and listen to Bannon's program. He's on Apple. He's still available. He's got over almost 100 million downloads. It's huge. It's called War Room Pandemic. Check it out for yourself. Bannon didn't rip off anybody. Why would he? That's ridiculous. Bannon is an independently wealthy person. He worked at Goldman Sachs. He was a movie producer. He's made it. He doesn't need to rip anyone off. And if he did, then why weren't there charges brought, huh? Okay. Just so you know, Chip, Ukraine Stitch is a cover for the Biden misadministration. I don't know exactly what you mean by that. What I would say is this: I think that if Donald Trump was in the White House, this wouldn't be happening right now. I think that Biden is perceived as weak. He's perceived as illegitimate, not just in this country, but around the world. And I think that not Trump, God forbid, Putin felt that he could take advantage by moving in like this. I think that Donald Trump was a deal maker. He knew how to negotiate. This is one of the things why the left despise Trump, because they want to keep the world off balance. They like perpetual war. This was described very well by historian Harry Elmer Barnes in the 1920s, who wrote the book called Perpetual War for Perpetual Peace. That has been the internationalist globalist agenda since World War I. And this is exactly what they want to do. They don't want to negotiate. They don't want to make bargains. They don't want to have deals with foreign countries to bring about peace. And so they try to harry and harass and prevent President Trump from doing this, because that would fly in the face of their agenda and their goals. And I think that, having said that, we can see that President Trump did have these deals, and he used military force if in a very careful way where it applied, like, for example, destroying ISIS and taking out the terrorist Soleimani. Those are very strategic acts that resulted not in a lot of deaths of innocent people, and that stopped enemies of the United States. At the same time, he knew how to forge deals, like to help develop the Abraham Accords, where the state of Israel was able to have formal peace agreements with 7 Arab and Muslim countries, and those same countries moving their embassies to Jerusalem. Those are extraordinary developments. President Trump had on the table the Kushner proposals to the Palestinian Arabs. If I would contend that had Donald Trump been not removed from office, and I don't want to say more about that, and he was serving his second term right now, that deal would have gone forward, and the Palestinian Arabs would have achieved a reasonable level of sovereignty and independence in Judea and Samaria, where they could have functioned as a kind of a quasi-autonomous state. And that would have been a great thing. Why aren't I answering the phone? I am answering the phone. Call in. Sorry. 617-396-4958. Call that number. It will ring and I will answer. Sorry about that. I don't know why you're not getting through. Let me give the number again. If there's a problem, I mean, I don't. Somebody might be tampering. I don't know, but it should work. It should work. Here we go. Hello. Thanks for calling.
Okay, Charles.
Yes, you're on the air.
So
How are you?
I sent you the link multiple times.
Okay.
Multiple times.
Okay.
And this is confirmed knowledge. It's public knowledge. GOP leaders in 7 states were red-handed caught forging electoral documents for the 2020 election.
Can you send no, look, I'll get into this. I have no problem with that. Can you send me an email at charlesmoskowitz@gmail.com? And I will.
I can send you a direct message on TikTok.
Well, I'd rather you send it so I can do the research myself. I need to read some articles.
Okay, Charles. What's the email?
The email is Charles Moskowitz, spelled like Moscow with a Witz.
I know how to spell your name.
Thank you. Well, some people do it with a K. @gmail.com.
Okay.
All right, so send that over. Now, who were these Republican leaders that were forging documents. And why haven't they been charged?
Well, the charges have been referred over to the DOJ,
Okay, I
and
mean,
then
what?
they've also
Yeah.
been subpoenaed, and they've also been subpoenaed by the January 6th Commission.
Well, look, I mean, look, I'm not trying to,
Well,
look, if this is true, I'm with you. I mean, let's get to it. I don't, why isn't the media covering this?
You just blew it off, Charles.
Not at all. You send me the information, I'll do some research. I'm not going to just take your word for it.
All right, then let's go. I'll send you the research.
Thank you.
I'll send you several links that
Please
back
do.
up, and I'll even send them from conservative sites.
Please do, because I'm not trying to blow you up, but I'm not going to take your word for it. I need to do my own research.
Come on. This is facts matter. Okay. I do my homework, and I pointed out multiple times when you're completely off base. For example,
yeah,
I just pointed out that Steve Bannon was arrested for ripping off Republican MAGA donors on the private wall project. You are.
I am aware of that, and I have talked to you about that. Why wasn't he charged?
And it was public knowledge. And since you're all over the media, it was public knowledge that Steve Bannon was arrested under the Trump DOJ by William Barr.
Well, first of all, I don't think he was arrested. He was charged.
He was arrested. He was arrested. In fact, he was arrested on the yacht of a Chinese billionaire. These are facts. These are hard facts.
And it's now, because he was ripping off.
Yes, he ripped off conservative donors for $1 million.
All right, I'll look at this. I find that hard to believe, but I'm not saying it's not true.
I don't see how you would not know that, Charles.
I know that he was. I know he was charged with stuff. I don't know if it was ever really brought to the point where it was adjudicated.
That when a conservative is found doing dirt, you somehow are completely out of the loop on it. Now, secondly,
well, I haven't heard that.
It was widely known that Trump pardoned said same Steve Bannon for those charges.
I know he pardoned Steve Bannon. But the point is, he did it because he felt that Bannon was being unfairly prosecuted
by Trump's own DOJ.
Yeah, by Trump's the same Bill Barr who refused to. Well, look, we can't get into this because I'm on YouTube. But in fact, why don't I do this? I'm going to shut off YouTube, and then we can talk about it. All right.
Let me make a point, though.
Yeah.
Because the real point of all of this, and from a conservative viewpoint, is that Steve Bannon was red-handed caught ripping off, and there's MAGAs out there. There was videos of MAGAs talking about it. It's flat out caught red-handed ripping off Republican donors, and Trump's own he pardoned Steve Bannon for ripping off his own donors, his own supporters, his own conservative group.
Listen, I don't, I do have a problem if it's true. My understanding is that those were charges that were brought and they were not, they were not proven. I find it hard to believe. No, they were not. And I find it hard to believe. Why would Steve Bannon rip off? Listen here. Why? Steve Bannon is a multimillionaire. He made a fortune at Goldman Sachs and making movies. Why would he rip off people, donors? It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't smell right. He doesn't need the money.
Steve Bannon is a known grifter. That's ridiculous.
I don't think so.
And we're not talking. And wait a second, we're not talking chump change here. We're talking $1 million.
Yeah, but he's a multimillionaire. He doesn't need $1 million.
Okay.
That's chump change.
Because he's a multimillionaire. What about last May when a Trump supporter, a man with brain cancer, heard on a Rush Limbaugh broadcast that Trump needed money? He donated $500.
Yeah.
And in a really sleazy telemarketing type technique, the poor man waited about a month and found that his rent payment, his utility payments were all bouncing.
Right.
He looked into it because he couldn't figure out why. And remember, this is a man with brain cancer.
Right.
And what had happened was Trump and his donation pack ripped off the man for a total of $3,000, emptying his bank account. And this is a conservative supporter. The poor man died before his family could recoup the money.
So you're saying that well, let me get this straight. So he donated money on a conservative website that's connected to
No, he donated to Trump.
on a website. And you're saying that the website then sucked money out of his bank account?
Trump did.
Well, the website did. I don't think Donald Trump sat there and said, let's shake this guy down.
Please. Come on. No, he didn't say personally.
No, the website, look, this is
wait a second.
Hey, you wait a second.
The way that the technique was done, was at the very bottom of the page, there was 2 pre-checked boxes.
Right.
One for donating each week the same amount, and one donating each month repeatedly for the same amount.
Right.
By the time the man found this out, they had drained his bank account.
So what happened is, all right. So wait a minute. What might have happened here is that he mistakenly checked off the box that said monthly donation.
No, Charles, come on.
So you're saying that this
came out. Wait a second. This came out in Forbes. Trump has
look. I'm not doubting it. I'm just trying to get to the facts here because I know that campaigns.
No, I have pointed this out on your profile, on your account, on your content.
Yeah.
So many times.
And I've responded to it because look, I know that. Wait a minute. I know that campaigns, both Democrat and Republican, they have these websites now that raise money and that you make donations, and that they all have it. I've gotten them from both sides because I get both left and right. I mean, but
nobody else was using sleazy telemarketing techniques.
Oh, yes, they do. Bernie Sanders did it. No. You're wrong, pal. Check out the Democratic donation pages. They're all doing, a lot of them are doing this. I mean, and I'm not defending
boxes that people don't know about, and it ended up.
Yes, they do know about it.
When people discovered what happened, Trump was forced to refund $122 million. Now, a bunch of, as you well know, a bunch of Trump's supporters are also, one, not so educated, and two, are also elderly. And this was what was happening to elderly and uneducated conservatives. But you stick your head in the sand.
No, I don't stick my head in the sand. What I'm suggesting, no, I don't look at. As I've said, and I'm not going to go on a merry-go-round with you here, but these sorts of websites where you can make a monthly donation, that's become standard practice in terms of both federal and state and even local elections. And it sounds to me like a mistake was made. I don't think that Trump was.
Well, wait a second. Let's entertain your position.
Okay.
How come it didn't happen to anyone else?
I don't know that. I mean, first of all, I mean, I think that there have been accusations.
I don't come out here without any facts to back me up.
No, and I'm not saying you are. I'm simply noting that these campaign websites, which are not run by the candidate, they can be very confusing and deceptive.
Nothing attached to Trump goes on.
And by the way,
Trump, man knowing what's going on.
And by the way, Trump, generally, when it comes to fundraising and it comes to money, Trump did not raise the kind of money that, certainly Hillary Clinton raised, or that, for that matter, Biden raised. I mean, his donations are usually small.
I don't really have the numbers.
Well, you can look at the numbers. Federal Election Commission publishes the numbers.
That was 2016.
And I'm speaking here as somebody who has run for office myself and knows Federal Election Commission reporting. And I'm telling you that Trump does not do that kind of fundraising where you have millions of dollars coming in from these dark money accounts that are usually, I don't want to name names, but they have where liberals can put money in without their name on it.
Well, what? You're just saying this because you don't have anything.
I have a lot of things on it, but I don't want to name names because I'm on YouTube and I'll get banned. See, we're dealing now with a society which bans.
I have backed up everything I said. I've
Okay,
sent you
fine.
links. I will send you the links again,
Send it.
but you ignore them.
I look, you haven't sent me something that I could read an article about. I'm just taking your word for it, which isn't
Oh,
enough
yes,
for
I
me.
have. On almost all of your videos, I have dropped links.
Well, maybe it's because I'm old and I can't function with the technicals, but I don't know how to click on a TikTok video where I can get a link. So send it to me. Listen, pal, send it to me the old-fashioned way by email. I will read the articles and then I'll do my own due diligence, but I'm not going to just take your word for it. But if you're right, look, I'm happy to acknowledge that. And I think that, as I just mentioned earlier, it sort of makes my case about election fraud, because certainly it happens on both sides. I would
But
suggest,
the only widespread election fraud that has been detected, and it has been gone over multiple times, but the only widespread fraud was done by GOP.
well, with due respect,
That's a
pal,
fact.
this is where you need to do your own research now. And you've heard me tell you
No,
time
yeah.
and again.
How many times was the AC votes counted? 3 times.
How many
The
times?
final time with cyber ninjas, they actually ended up coming up with more
No,
votes for Biden.
that is completely false, and you should look into
That
what's
is
happened.
not completely
Yes,
false.
it is.
Charles,
You
I'm
and I
an
are going to
IT
have a pissing match about this. You need to take a
I'm
look,
an IT
an objective
professional,
look
Charles.
at the full forensic audit in Arizona.
I looked at the data when Mike Lindell also made his presentation. I watched the whole thing. They were idiots, Charles. The
No, the Arizona.
Wait a second. I want to point this out. The county's website was amongst that data. And Mike Lindell's people, and also Cyber Ninja people that made the same mistake, couldn't even understand what this mysterious thing was that was leaked to the internet. It was the damn county's website. Anybody that's in cybersecurity, that was like cybersecurity 101. You know, any neophyte would have been able to recognize what that was.
No, what they recognized was that what they found was that the voting machines not only were defective, but the count.
That's not even true.
The count.
No,
then why is it? All right. Then let me ask you this: why didn't Maricopa County?
I want to address the point you just made.
Why didn't the Maricopa County commissioners release the passwords and the codes to those voting machines, to the cyber ninjas? Because why?
That's security.
But the point is that the state Senate in Arizona has a right to get access to that information. And the cyber ninjas were hired by them to do the audit, and they refused to release it.
Now, wait a second. The reason they did it was for security breaches. Because
then why wouldn't they release the information from the Dominion voting machines? Why did they withhold the keys and the passwords? Why didn't they get to take a look at those machines? And the same thing's happening, by the way, in Pennsylvania. You had in Pennsylvania an attorney general, a state attorney general who replaced Bookvar, who had to resign in disgrace, who told them that the full forensic audit of the state Senate, that they would not release the software information to them, even after a state court said that they had to. Why? Why aren't they releasing it?
True.
Yes, it is true. Same thing in Fulton County.
They would have been found in contempt, Charles.
That was probably one of the most corrupt elections of all, even worse than Michigan and Wisconsin and
like
Georgia.
I said, Charles, the Arizona votes were counted 3 times. And everybody came up with the same
but the question is, they were counting, they didn't count whether or not those votes had chain of custody.
No, that's nonsense.
Oh, no, it's not nonsense. They were finding in the canvassing that people were getting in the mail 40 or 50 votes because they were sending out unsolicited, unmarked ballots. Millions of them were sent out. That even happened in my own state of Massachusetts. Millions of ballots were dropped in the mail. And there were no chain of custody. They just were dropped to addresses. And now we find out that this organization called ERIC, E-R-I-C, which was hired by multiple states, including some of the red states, to purge their voting rolls of people who had either passed away or had left the state, that they hadn't done it for 10 years. Anyway,
Charles, just stop. You're so deep in the conspiracy theory.
I'm not. I'm reporting on what's
right
happening.
now,
It's not
what's going on?
The conspiracy
are you
was.
paying attention to the January? Wait a second. Time
Yes.
out.
Okay, go ahead.
Because you want to act like you're patriotic. Have you actually been paying attention to the things that have been released from like the National Archives on the January 6th Commission?
Yeah, but what I'm worried about is the things they're not releasing, like 300 hours of footage. Why doesn't Pelosi release the 300 hours of video footage of everything that happened on that day? The Republicans are asking for it. Of course, the Republicans have been banned from that committee for the first time in American history. You had the opposition party not able to appoint their own members.
Let me address what you just said.
Go ahead.
First off, there are 2 Republicans on that committee.
Were they appointed by the Republican Party?
No, they weren't.
Well, that's the first time in history.
Wait a second.
No.
I'm going to address exactly what you're saying.
Okay.
Because there was a bipartisan committee formed initially, and then McConnell closed it down.
Because they wouldn't allow the seating of the recommended, and McConnell, by the way, is in the Senate. We're talking about the House. And the House would not allow the seating of the recommended members for that committee for the first time in history.
I know where McConnell is. And there was a bipartisan committee agreed upon, and then McConnell shut it down. That is a
No, I'm talking about in the House committee right now, with the one with Liz Cheney. But there was already a committee agreed upon by both Republicans and Democrats, and McConnell shut it down. And then Nancy Pelosi said, okay, well, we'll do it ourselves. And then she was gracious enough to allow Republicans to be put on there. No. That's not the matter.
Going to put on Jim Jordan?
No. But yeah, that's right. With due respect, it's not a matter of graciousness.
Wow.
It's a matter of, in your opinion, it is a matter of history that a House committee has to have.
Jordan,
excuse me.
When Jim Jordan
a House
was asked,
committee has to have.
Dr. Trump that day, he stammered like a bold-faced liar.
Well, that's your opinion.
Come on, Charles.
A House committee. All right, goodbye. A House committee. Thank you. You send that to me. But I'm going to address this right now. Okay, fine. Go ahead. All right, goodbye. A House committee. Not at all. A House committee historically has had to welcome the opposition party so that a committee doesn't become partisan. That is how the rules have worked all the way from the beginning of the Republic. And this is the first time in history that a House committee refused to allow the opposition party, the Republican Party in this case, to seat their own members. Instead, they selected a couple of their own Republicans, their House Republicans, people that would go along with their agenda. And that's why it is so political, and they're not looking into the real story of what happened on that day. They are not releasing the real information. So that's why this thing is a kangaroo court. Anyway, I guess I don't know, I'm going to wrap it up, but I have a time maybe for one more call. 617. Let me just go back here. You're welcome to join the program. Let me just get up my Skype so it's functioning. And here it is. His computer seems to be slowing down a bit. 617-396-4958. You're welcome to join the conversation. 617-396-4958. And let's see. We are back up on YouTube. So anyway, and you're welcome aboard, and also on Rumble. I think I'm going to wrap it up at this point. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you very much for joining me. You're welcome to, I don't ask for donations. If you want to help support the program, you can purchase one of my books, which are available at Amazon Books or at Barnes & Noble Books. That way, if you, I don't send me money. I wouldn't know what to do with money if you sent it. But if you purchase a book, you get something of value. They're not expensive. They range. I think the ebooks are about $3, and the soft covers I think are about $8 or $9. And you'll get a book of mine. I've written almost 20 books on a variety of topics, politics, culture, economy. I've written a whole series of pamphlets that are now available. All of these things are available at Amazon books and at Barnes and Noble books. Just look them up under my name, Moskowitz, Charles Moskowitz, and you shall find my book page. So please check it out. Let's pray for the people of Ukraine as they confront this brutal invasion of their sovereign nation. It is a terrible thing, and let's pray that the world doesn't descend into world war right now. Let's hope that we can help them. I believe that, fingers can be pointed. We can say that this is happening because of Biden's weakness, and it is. But the important thing right now is that we deal with the reality of what's happening right now, and we try to do what's right for people who are suffering and who are unfairly being bombed and being attacked. Thank God in this country we have, two great oceans protecting our borders, but sovereignty should never be taken for granted. Sovereignty does not grow on trees. Sovereignty has to be earned, and it has to be defended. Just like, that's human nature. We're not going to have a more peaceful world if we suddenly give up sovereignty. We give up our freedoms, which is what the left wants. We'll have a more peaceful world if we learn to conduct ourselves with reasonable defense and reasonable precaution. And for the same reason that we lock the door to our car, we lock the door to our home, we have to lock the door to our nation and basically preserve and defend our national borders so that we can have a life and a future based on freedom and self-determination. So again, I want to thank you for joining me. I shall return at my usual time, which is Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time. Again, this is Charles Moskowitz. My books are available at Amazon Books. And God bless you all. God bless America. Good night, everybody.